Blue is a talented artist and rising star in the music industry, but talent is subjective. Fresh off a breakup with Tripp and her exit from the girl group Charm, she's killing it solo. The crowd's loving her until someone throws a portrait on stage. An old Charm group photo, but with her face violently crossed out. Blue freezes for a second. Then she hands it to her brother, Brandon, and continues performing. Backstage, Jasmine, Blue's former groupmate and Brandon's ex, storms in to confront her. Is this the story of Destiny's Child? Jasmine is still bitter that Blue abandoned Charm to go solo. Blue shrugs her off and tells Brandon to kick her out. Furious, Blue confronts her mother, Deborah, and sister, Brianna. She wants Jasmine arrested, but Deborah shuts that down quickly. When Blue mentions the picture, Brianna's convinced Jasmine is behind it. Blue's done with the drama. She storms out of the building with her foreign bodyguard, Antoine. But outside, just past the cameras and screaming fans, she spots something chilling, a stalker in a hoodie, watching her. The next morning, while preparations are made for Blue's upcoming world tour, a notification appears on Brianna's phone. It's a video of Blue hitting Tripp so hard, Tripp ends up in a terrible Tubi movie. This one. Blue's shocked because that's not the whole video. She says Tripp was violent before she retaliated. The video stems negative comments, one even threatens to unalive her, and she's scared. That's when Brianna suggests that she take self-defense classes, and Brandon opts to tighten her security. Outside, Deborah makes an urgent call to have the video taken down. Unfortunately, Hydrona Sports Drink, Blue's biggest sponsor, calls and threatens to pull the plug if the video is not taken down. Later, Blue stops by the studio to record a new hit. Crystal, her producer, notices her dull mood and tries to cheer her up. Eventually, Blue records, and they all think it slaps. But the amount of autotune really hurt my ears. She takes a break in the restroom, and out of nowhere, Tripp pulls up on her. He wants to join her tour because it would be good PR for them, but Blue says hell to the nah. She thinks he's behind the video posted earlier, but he claims he isn't. Regardless, Blue declines his offer, tells him she doesn't owe him shit, and walks away. Then Blue confronts Crystal, thinking she told Tripp about her studio time. She threatens to take her business elsewhere, and it starts an argument, one that seems all too familiar. Apparently, Blue has fired all of her past friends she did business with, and Crystal is just another ex-friend to her. One day, Blue joins Brianna to see Raymond Knight, a self-defense instructor. Raymond can be my knight in shining armor any day. Raymond has worked for several police units and done security for other famous stars. He shows Brianna some self-defense moves, and Deborah is feeling it, but Blue isn't in the mood, and she walks away. Brianna apologizes to Raymond, and she looks him up and down, wanting to invite him into her box, but she has to walk away to deal with her diva sister. That afternoon, Antoine tries to hit on Blue, but Deborah ruins things. As manager, she suggests that Blue invite the girls from Charm on her tour, but Blue says no. She's still pissed about what Jasmine did, but Deborah is fed up with her BS. At night, something terrifying happens. A chill runs down Blue's coochie as she sees her stalker outside the window. But before Brandon can react, the guy runs away and leaves a note behind. The note reads, "You need me," and Blue thinks her ex is behind it. Meanwhile, Brianna decides that it's time to hire Raymond. Raymond says no to her at first because Blue's BS is a lot to handle, yet he agrees only if he's made head of security. Brandon's a bit jealous, but lets it slide as long as he gets the higher paycheck. The next morning, Raymond gets to work. He checks the cars for trackers and suggests good security protocols in the house, some of which Blue isn't comfortable with. Like monitoring Blue's movements always, even when she's using her vibrator. Later, Antoine watches Blue while she's rehearsing. He wants her, but doesn't know how. One day, Blue convinces Brianna to sneak out to a night party. They enjoy their time out, but their car's tire blows out on the way back. Both sisters panic. Thankfully, Raymond finds them and gives the girls a ride home. I'm sure Brianna would have loved to ride that. Later, while Blue scrolls through a picture of her friends, she turns to Raymond and asks for a favor. She wants to organize a self-defense class for girls to empower them. Raymond agrees and it's scheduled. Midway through, a girl asks Blue if she'll ever get back with Tripp, and she replies that Tripp is over. That's when Deborah enters, recording the class live, trying to get Blue's followers to buy tickets for the tour. Blue doesn't want her charity work shown on social media, but Deborah argues that it was the only way to keep their sponsors on board. Later, Blue records a new hit at the studio, and Raymond is feeling it. He makes eye contact with her multiple times, and tension between them builds. This made both of Blue's lips smile. A few days go by, and one of Blue's unreleased tracks leaks online, the same one she planned to debut on tour. Brianna is convinced Crystal is behind it, but Blue is too tired to care. She just wants to focus on rehearsals. While she's dancing, Brandon notices how Raymond can't stop staring at her. After rehearsal, Blue runs into Crystal and Jasmine. She's immediately suspicious, thinking they've been plotting against her. Jasmine apologizes for what she did at her concert, But Crystal holds a grudge. She blames Blue for Charm falling apart and some of the former members being homeless. Crystal is about to beat the hoe down, but Raymond diffuses the situation. Jasmine reminds her that they used to be family. The following morning, Blue thanks the shirtless Raymond for defending her. She asks if he can teach her some self-defense. Of course, he's down, and I'm sure he wants to get down on her later. After training, they stop by a restaurant. Raymond flirts a little, only to be interrupted by some dude claiming to be a fan. Raymond gets him to back off, and Blue is grateful to have Raymond around. The next day, they decide to date. Later, Blue and Deborah get into it. Deborah swears Blue doesn't trust her and says she's always done the best for her, but Blue is tired of having a Kris Jenner. Blue goes Brianna to vent about their mom, and Blue wants to fire Deborah. Brianna tries to keep her grounded, but snaps when Blue is so clearly selfish. She calls Blue out for always making decisions off emotions without thinking about how it affects others. Before leaving, Blue says she's going out with Raymond. Brianna is shocked because she clearly wanted Raymond's eggplant. The date with Raymond is a hit, but fans start noticing Blue, so they switch locations. Meanwhile, Antoine is jealous of Raymond. The following day, Blue wants to have a piece of Antoine's cake, so she sends Raymond to get it. Annoyed, Antoine gives the whole thing to him and begins choking right after. Brandon thinks it's nothing serious, not until Antoine passes out and starts jizzing from his mouth. He dies, and the police suspect that the cake was poisoned at the restaurant yesterday. Brandon is pissed at Raymond. He pulls him aside, warns him to stop getting close to Blue and focus on doing his job. Blue overhears everything, and it rattles her. Between that and Antoine's death, she's shaken, so she confides in her sister. Then Raymond arrives asking for a private moment. Blue tells him point blank that they need to slow things down. Then their dumbasses decide to go to a party even though there seems to be someone after her. That night at the party, her outfit turns heads. Her ex is onto her, and Raymond tells him to back off. But Blue says it's fine. She'll talk to him alone. Tripp reminds her of how she used to slob his knob. Next thing you know, she's hugging him. Someone even takes a picture, and they don't notice. After their chat, Blue tells Raymond to go on without her, says Tripp will drive her home. This girl is trifling. Before Raymond leaves, Jasmine recognizes him. He used to work for a female artist, but she fired Raymond. She confronts him, but he tells her to mind her business. Later, Tripp drops Blue home and gets all touchy with her, but ruins the moment when he calls her his property. Blue snaps, tells him to leave. He doesn't, and Raymond is forced to interfere. With Tripp out of the way, Raymond gets intimate with Blue and eats her roast beef. The next morning, Tripp stirs things up by sending a picture of himself with a mystery woman to a major social media page. The lady's face is not shown, but everyone thinks it's Blue. She sees the post and is pissed instantly. Her mother tries to do damage control. She texts the page's admin to get the photo removed and admits she has an ongoing deal that keeps Blue's PR clean. Blue is pissed, and it finalizes her decision to fire her own mama as her manager. Brianna is shocked, but Blue doesn't care anymore. Later, Crystal helps Jasmine record a single, and it's a banger. But the vibe shifts when Crystal sees that viral photo online. She stares at it and realizes that she's the girl in the picture with Tripp. Without thinking, she admits that she was hooking up with Tripp while he was still with Blue. Damn, I was rooting for you, Crystal, but you was trifling. Right then, Tripp enters, pissed that she's spilling his business. The two get into it while Jasmine quietly steps away to call Blue and tell her what's up, but the call doesn't connect. Back inside, Crystal snaps because Tripp is trying to crawl back to Blue after everything. Turns out Tripp made her upload that video that ruined Blue's public image. He never cared, just flat out used her. Crystal's hurt. She even turns to Jasmine, begging her to have her back. The next day, Brandon pulls Blue aside. He got a message from Jasmine and wants to talk about something important. Initially, Blue says no, but agrees after Brandon convinces her. That evening, Jasmine apologizes for everything, especially what she did at the concert. Then Blue clarifies that she didn't want to leave the group like that. They make up and Blue even invites her to join the tour, and Jasmine is all in. Right after, Jasmine starts telling the truth about Tripp and Crystal and how she's pretty sure Tripp is the one stalking Blue. But before she can finish, someone pushes her off the roof, and she doesn't survive. The next day, Crystal is taken into custody for questioning, and Tripp couldn't care less. After Jasmine's memorial, Deborah tells Raymond to help set up some chairs for her. She tells Brandon to tag along, and they head out. After that, Blue apologizes to her mom. She thanks her mom for getting her out of Charm and protecting all her funds from the record label. Deborah's relieved. She accepts the apology and even considers choosing her replacement with Blue when the time comes. Meanwhile, Brandon joins Raymond in his studio to get the chairs. Upon entering a room, he sees Blue's pictures everywhere and realizes that Raymond is the stalker. But it's too late. Raymond is behind him. Raymond returns home with the chairs, but with bloodstains on his hands. The following day, Blue prepares to go out, and they worry about Brandon. Then when Blue leaves, Brianna's friend calls and tells her about Raymond's past dealings with a client. He tried hitting on his past client, And when she refused, he got aggressive and started stalking her. But he was fired. That's when it hits Brianna. Raymond orchestrated the whole thing to get to Blue. Immediately, she informs Blue. But before Blue arrives home, Raymond has taken Brianna and Deborah hostage. Everything started when Blue gave Raymond a lap dance in one of her shows with Charm. The chokehold her flat ass has on him. That's when Raymond's obsession with her began. He wants to be with her by all means, but when Blue says no, he attacks her. But due to intense plot armor, Blue overpowers him and stabs him in the chest. Then she releases her mother and sister, but Raymond is still on the loose. He tries attacking again, but stops when Tripp is at the door. Tripp enters blindly and is stabbed in the chest. But before Raymond can choke him to death, Blue slits his throat and he doesn't make it. About a month later, Blue hosts a concert where she performs her new songs to her fans. Her tour is still postponed because of all the craziness that went down, but her fans are happy regardless. She's grateful for family, especially Brandon, who survived a near-death experience. And that's the end of the movie. Rhythm and blood. A lot of blood, absolutely zero rhythm. What did you guys think of this one?
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.